the drama coach told me how good I was. My football coach came to me and told me how good I was. He gave me a big bear hug, and there was all this accolade and all this applause, and felt
Hey,
good.
this is Ken Sheets with the Director's Commentary in 3D. That stands for director that doesn't like 3D, I guess. I don't know. I apologize. I use that as a little trick here to get you to watch the director's commentary. So I'm a member of directors that don't like 3D.
And all of a sudden the curtain goes up and these actors come out on stage, and I just got swept away by the whole thing.
Hollywood, a place where dreams come true.
The Discover Me show began originally as a pilot that we were trying to put together with my friend John Amadeo, who's one of the top producers in Hollywood for a lot of shows that you'd find familiar. But John doesn't like to talk about himself too much, but I'm just going to mention him here to say thanks for getting this show together. So it turned out as more of a cautionary tale, though, on the struggle that it is to be discovered in Hollywood. We shot this show 4 years ago, and none of the actors that we filmed have become famous in any way, even though, as you'll see, they're extremely attractive and talented. Some of them obviously don't have their hearts in the right place, but I think that's natural for Hollywood. I don't know if that's the reasons they haven't succeeded. You know, what makes a success and what makes a failure in Hollywood is such a thin margin. But as I like to say, though, there are no failures in Hollywood. These people who have really tried to make something of a career for themselves have gone on an adventure and had an experience that they're never going to forget. So I'm going to address some of the questions that the actors are addressing. Right now they're talking about what brought them to Hollywood, and what brought me to Hollywood I think began when I was a kid, when my grandmother used to say whenever I would cry or misbehave, "You belong in Hollywood, young man," as though I were an actor. And I was very dramatic, I will say that. I was a loud child, like probably many of the extroverts who end up in Hollywood. There's Donnie Meacham. He was in one of my shoe commercials. A lot of the actors that I met during this show I've continued to do work with in various short films and other things that I've been working on over the years. Others you sort of lose touch with, or maybe hear from once in a while on Facebook. I'm always curious how they've all done, and every once in a while I'll hear from some of them and see them in different things, and it's always exciting for me when that happens.
And I decided this was my next step. I was used to traveling, picking up, and...
But for me, I didn't really begin my Hollywood adventure until the age of 50. And I was feeling kind of sorry for myself about that, that I waited so long for my big Hollywood adventure. When I met a man named Ralph Goen, who began his Hollywood career at the age of 70 years old. And you'll see Ralph coming up here in a moment. Ralph just really was a huge inspiration for me. Oh, there's Jim Troche. Now, Jim is a sad story. He passed away 3 months ago, and actually Jim's passing inspired me. I got to finish this damn thing, so I got busy. Sabrina Marie Beau has been in some of my films. She's absolutely one of the delights, I think, of this film, and her energy and her confidence shines out. But even her, with all of that she has going for her, has not cracked the Hollywood system. Here's Ralph, and Ralph is, as I say, 70 years old, and here he's telling actually a pretty sad story. This is the story of that really gripped us, and he came out here in an RV, and it's ironic because I'm actually broadcasting to you from an RV where I'm at Great Spirits Ranch doing social media, but he came out here to start his career when his wife inspired him. But what was really sad is he caught us off guard here. He's actually telling us how his wife passed away before they could actually make the journey. And you just never know what life is going to bring you, do you? So it was very touching and compelling. And despite all the other young characters, we have an actor in here who's as young as 10 years old. So we had a real cross section of the population, race, color, creed, and Ralph is our senior citizen of the show. Ralph has moved back to Texas. He didn't make it out here in Hollywood. He was out here 3 months originally, and I think he stayed almost a year. And I introduced him to a filmmaker group here called The Table, which is run by Mark Zicree. Hello, Mark and Elaine Zicree. And he hit it off with Mark and Elaine, and when he moved back to Texas, he wound up becoming the head of a Table branch of these independent filmmakers in Texas, and he's still working in the business, just not in Hollywood. And now 4 years have passed, and he's still doing it. I gotta really hand it to him. So we have a lot of nice exterior shots of Hollywood that pop up in here, and here's a wonderful discussion by Kathy Carey, who's also a member of The Table here in Hollywood, about actors and how so many of the real world think.
We're jerking off in the Macy's store window.
Why I direct is I just enjoy bringing the stories of people to life, and I am a master storyteller. It sounds silly, I know, to be at the age of 50 here and trying to make a film career go, and it's been 9 years that I've been out in Hollywood here and have had no really, stellar money success, but I have had so much fun. Which is why I say that the journey to Hollywood is not about, succeeding or not succeeding. And here's Deanie Castleberry. Oh, what a delightful, funny person. She added so much joy to this show here. It was just incredible, as you'll see when you watch the show without me blabbing over it. So the wonderful thing about why these actors act, that they express here, really touches your heart. I think that they did just a great job. I'm going to shut up here and let them talk a little bit.
Feeling inside and have that personality quirk where they're an entertainer and they feel like they got to entertain and life at a party, that type person, you would do it for damn free.
Sometimes, you feel like you are that character, and you get to feel what that character's feeling, and just all the different.
Chance Eldridge, talk about a good-looking young actor. He's got to make it at some point. Come on, guys.
I think the greatest feeling ever.
Viviana Navas is a Colombian soap opera star who came to Hollywood to try to make it in mainstream Hollywood. And I think she's back in Colombia now. Antonio Charity, you'll see him in a lot of shows. He works probably more than anyone else in the show. He's not gotten that big leading role in a film or TV. Lainey Roth, and I'm going to save the surprise for what is her day job in Hollywood, but brilliant young lady. You can't use an image of the Oscar here, so we're trying to imply the Oscar with these little statues that you can find in gift shops on Hollywood. So we asked the actors to dream big. What was their big dream, their dream role? What would they like to do here? And for me, my dream role in Hollywood has been to, direct a major motion picture. And I've had a lot of success in my life, and I thought I'd come out here to Hollywood and it would be an easy thing. I built Oprah Winfrey's television studios when I was a real estate developer. And I built a $160 million, 38-story skyscraper. I've leased a half a dozen skyscrapers. I've been Chicago's real estate broker of the year. So when I came out here after retiring from real estate to make it in Hollywood, I thought, well, this will be easy. I'll raise some money from my billionaire pals and we'll make some movies. Well, the billionaire pals were afraid to give me money, of course, because I hadn't really learned the business. It's been 9 years now. It'd be a great investment now, but 9 years ago, it didn't really happen. So I began doing very independent sort of stuff with my own cameras, my own gear, and I began to say F you to Hollywood, and I just started making my own stuff. I got off my butt and stopped feeling sorry for myself and started making stuff. That's what you got to do. It's really up to you, as this lady is saying right here.
Now my heart rate's gone way high because that's my calling. I'm shaking. I'm so excited that this is my calling.
The next segment is Hollywood horror stories.
Funny you should ask that.
And man, have I got some to share. I mean, I came out here to Hollywood with my eyes a glitter, and I had raised $500,000 of seed money to make some pictures. My guys wouldn't give me a lot of money, but the economy was very good 9 years ago, and yeah, you know what? I'll give this guy 50 grand. I'll give this guy 100 grand. Let's see what he can do. I mean, I made the deal so attractive to them, it was hard to say no.
It was like several cats falling off a cliff of chalkboards and just getting beat down.
I lived in Chicago. I hadn't had a car in almost 20 years. And, so it was fun sort of driving around, going to studio meetings, but I quickly began to see that without a star attached to a project, and I don't mean these wonderful undiscovered sort of actors, that I was going nowhere fast. I was wasting my time. So I went internal, and like I said, I got my own cameras, and I started doing my own stuff, and that's where I began to really blossom and enjoy the Hollywood experience. I had made a documentary before I came to Hollywood called Kids Talk Politics that had aired in 2001 as the lead-in to the presidential debates between Bush and Gore, and many people blame me for the fact that we had 8 years of President Bush. No, I'm just kidding. But it was a huge success. We had an audience of 3 million people, and I thought, wow, this is great, you know, this is how you do it, you know, so I'm just going to Hollywood. I know how to make shows now, and well, I really didn't know anything about the film business. I had learned how to make a documentary that ended up on PBS, but even that took 4 years to bring to the small screen. And you really need incredible stamina, incredible staying power. And so through that experience of making the Kids Talk Politics show and eventually having a hit YouTube station when I repeated the show again in 2008, I learned how to do mass marketing and social media to get my projects out there and to earn some living on it. And that in turn led to my decision to start my own social media company that would be a distribution arm of my production business, Overactive Imagination Pictures, named so because my grandmother said I always had an overactive imagination. And my grandmother practically raised me because my mom worked, my dad was never home. And we'll have a big family section. I'll get to the family shit later.
The fat fuck is eating again.
So everybody had a pretty good horror story. I mean, this is the very cream of the crop of the Hollywood horror stories. And if you're coming to Hollywood and you're expecting, you know, to be on this sort of a golden voyage, you better wake up, because you are going to be experiencing real ego humbling. And I think that's one of the greatest things about Hollywood, is that it is an ego crushing machine. If you come out to Hollywood with an ego, you cannot really be out here for a very long time. I mean, you are going to get that ego handed to you on a platter, and I think that's a very, very healthy thing. So it's an interesting thing that for me, for me, Hollywood has been such an amazing spiritual journey to see that really I probably came out here just to get rid of my big Chicago real estate developer ego that I had developed after having Harpo Studios and a big skyscraper.
No, like, air beds, nothing. So it's like a
But at any rate, the whole story that Jen Yen here is telling about the horrors of low-budget production, I live almost on a daily basis.
Okay, you know, the breakfast is outside, and then we're gonna start filming, like, let's go. And I think I'm trying to remember exactly what the breakfast was, but it was something so ridiculous. It was like, I think they had like a bag of crackers, and I left. I was like, this is ridiculous, like, I'm leaving.
And you're gonna need a good day job. This is one of my favorite sections of the show, day jobs. So my day job is social media. And I'm telling you, it is not what I expected to be doing in Hollywood. It is not what I expect. You know, buzzing other people's videos to get them views on YouTube, building websites. Oh my God, I'm telling you, I hate it so much. I just absolutely hate my day job. But I love who I meet, and I love making videos. So that's what keeps me going when I'm sitting there clicking away to build Twitter followers for a beauty salon. Oh, this is Jessalyn Desmond. What an awesome lady. She is so talented. Why in the hell hasn't she become like a giant superstar? This is my dear friend Naomi Mercer, who played on one of my movies. There's Don Balderramos from The Table. A great guy, a super actor. Again, you know, the struggle is hard. He's talking here about how hard it is to have the day job and find times for your audition. And I'm in the same boat doing social media to support myself. This show, Discover Me, was originally optioned to a Canadian superstation, and we thought we were done with it, and we'd be collecting our money for it. And then time just dragged on, and they had the show for over a year. And what happened? The Canadian superstation went bankrupt. And so the show came back to us, and by the time it came back to us, now it was like 2010, and I was in the middle of trying to recover from the complete evaporation of the financial system here in America. I mean, I'm an independent filmmaker, and I rely on a good economy where people have some discretionary capital to fund some independent feature films and stuff. When that disappeared, I had sort of gotten comfy with a certain group of investors who were in real estate and all lost their asses in the market and just completely withdrew from filmmaking. So there I was, and that's when I started Buzz Pros, because I was like, wow, I need a day job. And here's Donnie Meacham, here's Peter Bedard, who does a wonderful holistic healing. So everybody has these unusual day jobs out here. Bibiana Navas, who came out here as a Colombian soap star, is talking here about juices. I'm going to shut up because it's hilarious.
Came in and recognized me. Are you crazy? What happened in Colombia? What happened with soap operas? You are I love you, many fans. And I was working in a little store, making juices. That was like...
I basically am a glorified handyman.
I'm like Bibiana. I'm like, you're doing social media, but you built Oprah Winfrey's television studios. What are you doing social media? Oh, for crying out loud. As happy as she is there, I put this in there with Chance, sort of bringing it back down to earth, because guess what? She's doing modeling. She's not acting. All right, so the wonderful Wonder Woman. I actually met her on Hollywood Boulevard while I was shooting B-roll, and started talking to her, and I was like, wow, you would be a great subject. Why don't you come on down? We're doing interviews for Discover Me, and bring your Wonder Woman costume. And what a great segment this turned out to be in the show. Story about the men with the wandering hands. We will be getting into some more of the men with the wandering hands in the form of Hollywood producers later on in the episode here. It's the heart and soul, I feel, of this wonderful long short, or short long, whatever you want to call this thing. It's it depends on the film festival. This is a short feature, or this is a long short, depending on which film festival you're at. Oh, family! Oh my God! And this
I love
little
them
girl
so
just
much.
is so lucky. Just listen.
I couldn't do any of this without them. This is my mommy.
I think it was about 10. It was the first time she had tried to stab me in the chest, and then another time she tried to break my neck, climbing on the back, and she held me down. She just pulled my and then hit all of me. She just bent me. She kept.
So there are basically two kinds of people in Hollywood. those who have wonderful families that, you know, indulge their children, and those that have terrible families, and I will say I fit that category, that drive them into Hollywood. Americo's funny here. Let's listen.
With a yarmulke and the beard, and I thought you're gonna be a doctor when you grow up. And then my mother's like, "You built a laser? I don't want to go there. We're gonna blow up the school."
You gotta have an explosion in the middle of your movie. I mean, that's one of the basic stories in action adventure films, which I love to write. I've written 12 screenplays since I've been out here in Hollywood, and I have not made a single one of them. All my work has been documentary and shorts and that sort of thing, and I am finally ready, I believe, after a dozen screenplays, that I write a good story and a marketable story. I mean, I think a lot of the stories I wrote originally were just self-indulgence and were not marketable in any way. And let's face it, you're making a product. Hollywood, you know, you can get your message across in there somewhere. But it'd be like when I came out here, I had this movie Steps, which was a really fine family drama that I thought I had written, and there was just no interest in it at all. A producer I hired got so desperate, they did an unauthorized rewrite, and it was your typical Hollywood nightmare, because now instead of this wonderful family drama that I had created from a popular short film that was beloved by Roger Ebert and Michael Wilmington. Wait, I take that back. It was just Michael Wilmington. Roger never watched the show. I took his film class and offered it to him, and I have no idea if he ever saw it or not. Very Hollywood, Roger can be. So at any rate, I came out here with this dream of making my family drama, which was based on my own sad divorce experiences, and I had a black family that was going through divorce and a white family that was going through divorce, and overlapping them, you know, you cut back and forth between the stories. So I was trying to equate the drama with the interplay of the two stories. Of course, there's been some other movies that have done that and done it better and done it with better directors. So I don't know. It went absolutely nowhere, and my investors were so disappointed in me, because we had this beautiful trailer and this great short, you know, and you'd think, wow.
She said, Tamara, when you used to watch television, she said you would jump up and down and cry in the living room, Mommy, Mommy, please take me to Hollywood.
It's going to not be what you expect it to be, let's just put it that way. But it's going to be a life experience, and it's going to be something that enhances you.
But like I would go into, my mom always tells the embarrassing story that I was 3 and I would fling open the door to McDonald's and be like, nobody does it like McDonald's can.
My grandpa right now is definitely an inspiration for me, because when I see how hard he works, and definitely motivates me. 100%.
Yep, they're related. Chance Eldridge and Ralph Goen, grandson and grandfather, and bonding over their adventure in Hollywood. I love that.
When he moved out here, and that's what he's doing for money, for everything. You know, he's retired, but you know, money doesn't last forever, and he's working harder than me, and I work hard, and I'm just like, dang.
And I'm sure every time Chance thinks of, wow, this is tough, maybe I ought to give up, he thinks about his grandfather starting an acting career at the age of 70. So relationships in Hollywood. This was something I was very interested in.
LA is a very, very lonely town. I'd heard that over and over and over.
I've had relationships where the man is like, oh, are you acting now?
If something comes up and has to do with my career, I'm gonna go with my career. And with that person, I'm like, well, you know, I'll see you later. They're like, Lainey, you have to travel again. You wanna leave me, you know? And it's just, I have to.
I can't even take care of myself. How the hell am I
Malik.
supposed to be responsible for another person, you know?
I can barely take care of myself. I'm broadcasting to you from an RV that I'm living in, like Ralph Goen does in the story, on Great Spirits Ranch, where I'm doing social media to pay my bills. And I've just found like a few days here to master this DVD and get it out. I'm going to be back doing social media again tomorrow. It's Sunday, and Monday morning I'll be back listening to this ranch owner who is an amazing lady, and just so intense and so amazing, but is sometimes making me a little crazy. Because her thing on the ranch where I'm at is no egos allowed. So if you anything with your ego, she is on you. And of course, I've got this gigantic ego as being a former real estate developer.
How could that not go really wrong? I don't know.
I'm married, actually. I got married about a year ago in September, and we're doing a long distance.
I've tried relationships. I've been in some of the first situations where I've just actually said, the heck with it. I just can't even try to have a relationship right now.
That's the most desperate thing I've done. Probably to stay with my boyfriend that I have now, even though at times I wanted to break up with him. But out of desperation, I hung on to him. And for many various reasons, whether it was just that I needed a driver to get around to get to my auditions, or I needed someone to help pay the rent, or I needed him because he seemed to have a lot of ends in Hollywood.
You have to be selfish, and you have to be all about yourself. It sucks, but it's a necessary evil if you ever want to be successful. So not really much time for dating or love,
Nightlife. I had one until my original investor money sort of wore off, and I fell into pretty much what everyone is doing out here, just conserving cash to live on rather than having a huge nightlife. And certainly while you're not dating, you're not going to have much of a nightlife. We didn't have a lot of material here, so I think maybe this was more my fantasy section to see what sort of an amazing nightlife some people did have out here in Hollywood, because mine has been extremely boring. I mean, video games at one point, I think I became almost addicted to them because that became my nightlife. I would work during the day, and the computer would be rendering up some huge project I was working on or whatever. And video games were pretty much the only thing that I fell into as something that was fun for me and relatively inexpensive. And I bought a Chihuahua, which was a beautiful dog named Sophia, and she wound up being the star of one of my pictures, Zach's Machine, with Ed Asner, that wound up in 8 different film festivals around the world. And that was something that really grew out of my lack of nightlife, I guess you would say. But I guess if you're coming to Hollywood and thinking you're going to have a fantastic nightlife, you better have a very deep bank account. And Lillian went through almost all of her cash. I went through all of mine pretty quickly. And there's a lot of people out here that are happy to party with you if you're footing the bill, so to speak.
And you realize at the end of the day, it's not getting you anywhere, You're just becoming one of those typical LA party girls.
The whole 2 months just flashed before my eyes, just thinking like everything was all for this nasty pervert to get ahead.
As a lady in the Hollywood game, you are going to be confronted with a lot of choices that challenge your integrity.
I read the piece, everything is great, and I'm just vibing really, really good, feeling really good about myself. And he's like, I really want to, I've been meaning to ask you this. And I'm like, yeah, what? He's like, well, I could really help you out in your career. And this role could be the role that will make you. And I was like, yeah, you're right. But I need to know, how well do you give head? I was like...
We had the question in our list of questions, and I guess we might have thought we'd get 1 or 2 stories. But literally, we're picking out the best of the of the worst here of Hollywood. I am just amazed at the level of sexual predatory behavior. Here's a man being harassed.
I'm actually at the moment, I go, wow, look at that view.
A big man. A big man who's a former WWE wrestler who could break you like a toothpick. But that's how much confidence these predators have on you.
I've been the one to do it, like, oh, here, you're cold, let me put my arm around you, now it's being done to me from a guy. I'm going, wait a minute.
I don't see the mentality of an ugly, fat, disgusting, smelly breathed human being that just happens to be a producer, thinking they could even kiss me, let alone, God forbid, do anything else.
And my friend Naomi, I was stunned to hear that my friend Naomi has been through this too.
You know what you'd probably have to do for something like that, or it would come with a price.
I was actually offered a few movie roles where, I got the role and I was all happy, and all of a sudden they're like, oh, by the way, we want you to be topless in the scene, or oh, by the way, we want you to, and I was like, you didn't say this when I was auditioning for the role.
What these predators feed on is there's just so much desire to make it in Hollywood. There's just so much going for the brass ring that a lot of people succumb to the temptation to take that shortcut. There's an amazing lady, Jamie here, who really stuck to her guns. I hope 4 years later she still has. Let's take a listen.
The only thing was that I would be staying in the hotel room with him. And he's married. And it was right then that everything came together, and all these months I felt like I had wasted. And all of this time in our friendship that I thought was real. I still get kind of emotional because, I'm a loyal person, and I'm a sincere person.
As sensitive as she is, I know she's crying here as much about how hard it is to be in Hollywood, that you think you have that break. You think you've found someone who actually likes your talents, and it turns out to be this shit, some douchebag who's just trying to sleep with you. That's tough. And as a director, I get the same thing in different ways. I'll get people that are like, wow, you're such a talented filmmaker, and blah, blah, blah. The next thing you know, they're just picking your brain, or they're trying to see if you got some star connection, or as soon as they find out that, I built Oprah Winfrey Studios, and a lot of people wind up talking to me because they think I can get them to Oprah. I worked for Jeffrey Jacobs, their president. I met Oprah in 3 meetings, where I was, critiquing the floor plans and getting the designs straightened out. It was a mess. But I don't really know Oprah. So this relates to the whole sexual side of things.
You get this person that wants to help
The scams.
She was so
And
amazed that she'd seen
the scammers out here are amazing. As a cautionary tale, which this really has turned out to be, I'll just add as a producer and a director, if you're coming out here like I did, and you want to, you think you're going to just buy your way into Hollywood, no, that's not going to really happen unless you have $1 billion. I think you could buy your way into Hollywood with $1 billion, but if you're coming in with 10 or 20, 30, 50 million, you're just like everybody else that has a dream of making a movie, and you're likely going to team up with someone who's going to push you aside. I have a friend from Chicago who got all the way up on the Oscar stage, and when Clint Eastwood got done making his thank you speech, the camera just cut away as my friend was ready, who had funded this amazing Oscar picture. Really more of a friend, and really never got to know Tommy Rosenberg that well.
Fizzles out. It comes to nothing. There was nothing there to begin with. You could quickly lose everything.
I had a manager. We had huge falling out.
So, yeah, the
big betrayal.
the heartbreak here is you trust people, You think they share your dream, but if they're looking for money up front, they're going to tell you what you want to hear. They're going to tell you, this is the best screenplay ever. Let's make a movie. And then suddenly you're out $70,000 in their initial fees, and you're like, wait a minute. Where did my money go?
You know, if you ask the universe for what you want, you can have absolutely anything. It is in the law of physics.
There's some people that actually feel that they're helping you. They call I've learned a phrase called schmuck tax. You know, if you get taken for money, you've learned this valuable lesson, and they've actually led you on this path of higher awareness. It's almost like they're like Buddhists while they're screwing you over.
And I brought these life-changing pictures, and I set them on the desk in front of the agent. I remember the agent's face. Adrian looked down and goes, "What the?" And I said, "No way." Like, my face melted. I was like, these are the life-changing $450 pictures. Like, I just could not breathe after that. And the guy goes, "This is probably the worst headshot that I'd ever seen in my life." And I walked out and literally tore up the pictures on the street and cried.
You want to look for people with a heart. You know, anybody that's got their hand out that wants money up front, run away, and you'll be safe from scams.
You know, these people who come out here and it's like, give myself 6 months or give myself a year, that's bullshit, you know? It takes that long to learn the streets.
Knowing when to quit, I was just so interested in trying to get a barometer for some of these actors I saw that had been out here like forever and had never made it. And when should they quit, you know? And I got so many different answers. And I think the answer is, if you love it, it doesn't matter whether you're, you know, performing in a neighborhood Hollywood, you know, theater production, or whether you actually make it to the big screen. It's all about the journey. And you know, there's Ralph, of course. He made it almost a year.
When I first came out here, I told my husband, just let me give it 1 year.
Sheila is also a table member, going back and forth.
I have never considered.
Antonio is just so talented.
At the end of the day,
Get that lead role break, wow. I think it'll happen for him one day.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna be an old
Terry Frusciante, she's amazing.
forever. I'm gonna play the old lady dying of a heart attack and probably really die of the heart attack because my method acting is so amazingly brilliant.
I'm getting a little more anxious as I get older. Even though I'm not that old, but I'm still kind of like, oh man, another couple years I'll be 30.
But that's today. Whenever I turn 30,
Deanie's been in some very cool stuff. I do see her popping up on some shows. Reality shows, I hate reality shows. I had some great ideas for them, and I never have the heart to get started because reality shows to me are scripted and so I'm a documentarian. That's what I love, the real story. The real reality shows to me are documentaries. Even that's become a little bit, corrupted in some of the popularity that documentaries are starting to get into. But this is as real as you're going to get. Actors just talking about.
I'm a grown-up.
Tears them up.
Get past your past and look forward.
In the words of the bard, thy own self be true. Be true about what you're doing, and if you're seeking the truth in the work or the truth of what you want to do, then there's no wrong choices.
It's just this giant wall, like a 300-foot tall wall, right? And the general formula is to just slowly climb, to take one step up the ladder at a time, and then maybe, hopefully, you'll make it to the top and over to the other side. But that's not the only option. I mean, some people find out a way to drill through the wall, and some people start digging and go underneath the wall, and some people figure out that there's a way to walk around the wall.
And they'll just go and take the safe way in life, and then their whole lives they're thinking, maybe I should have done that. And then they're probably the people who tell you, no, you shouldn't do that.
You're gonna be rejected way more times than you're gonna hear the word yes. And if you truly love it, never give up, and it will definitely happen, even if you're, doing soap operas.
Just work hard and try to achieve your dream.
Just know what you want and go for it. I mean, really, just anything in life.
Those who make it are those who survive the process.
Follow your heart, you're not gonna go wrong.
Oh my word, how do people answer that? If I have to sum up my acting career in one word, it would be...
Spiritual. That would be my one word. It's been a spiritual adventure for me. Dream Shield project that emerged out of the social media work here has been wonderful for me to get in touch with some spirituality. My doctor once said, your blood pressure is high, Ken. Are you into any kind of spirituality, religion, whatever? I said, no, I don't believe in God. I don't believe in anything. Hollywood has brought me back to spirituality in its very unusual way of just meeting all these interesting souls, and I look at all these faces and I wish them all so well, and anyone who wants to make it in Hollywood, just realize it's all about the adventure. It's not about it's all the journey, and let go of the whole thing of success. Success is an illusion anyway, and material possessions and all that kind of stuff, they're all just traps.
Yay! That's my one word.
I'm Ken Sheets, and here's my buddy John. Hi, John. This fellow didn't make the final cut inside the show, but we just loved his wallet routine. It's funny to watch this again. 4 years for 40 minutes. I was trying to think of that. Holy cow. I mean, I've done hundreds of hours of videos on YouTube, and this was a very difficult show to edit and put together. And then when the show came back to us after the Canadian Superstation went bankrupt, we had to redo the entire music score. And now here I am in the middle of the worst recession in history, trying to figure out how to find the time. And somehow I did. I'm really happy to get this out there. All these wonderful actors deserve to have this get out into the world. Hey, this is Ken Sheets signing off with my burned up cash and my empty wallet. Peace.
The word quadriplegic, because that's what I am, I'm quadriplegic, paralyzed from the shoulders down. And hey, I'm up here, mister. And anybody on the other side of the camera to realize what I have to offer.
Do you need some more water?
No, I'm good. And to see me as a funny guy, and that, I do physical comedy with my chair. I do goofy stuff, and
How long have you been in the chair, John?
Since I was 14.
14. And what was
I was an electronics geek, and that's pretty much what I plan to do with my life. And I was also, like 14-year-olds, I was reckless and had no fear of anything. So I was up on my friend's roof, putting up putting up an antenna, and didn't notice that right nearby was a high voltage electrical wire, the kind at the top of the telephone poles. And so I'm putting the antenna into the top of this tower. I'm about 5 feet away from the wire, and an arc of electricity jumps from the wire into the antenna. So I got electrocuted, and then the jolt threw me backwards off the tower, and I bounced off the roof, and somehow or another broke my neck in the fall. So obviously I can't use my hands, and couldn't. So took several years and went through a lot of soul searching and depression and trying to come out of it, and learning how to overcome the demons that kind of live inside me.